Hi, everybody. Today's Gen Talks theme is on awareness, and self-awareness really is what I'm bringing to the forefront today. And it's funny because last week I read an amazing quote. I can't find it anywhere, but it was something on the lines of um, once we look at something, it changes. And then I completed some family constellation work in last weekend, and that was the theme of the kind of, I suppose, how that work actually makes a difference in people's lives is the idea that once we look at something, it's a physical formula that once we look at something, it changes. And I remember, I think the guy was James Baldwin, and he said, really, the idea is not that we have to find everything that's wrong with us and fix it, but it's the idea that we cannot change what we are not willing to look at. And actually, as I was writing the description for this, I think I wrote something like, we cannot change what we cannot see. And that's exactly what it is. So it's the idea that, particularly in this time of pause that we've had in the last year, we may have had some additional time to think about ourselves. Maybe we've seen some more of our warts, or what some of us call our shadow side, or parts of us that we're not that fond of. Or maybe we haven't seen them. We just know that we're struggling, and we don't understand why. So I suppose what I wanted to bring today was I wanted to introduce the concept of self-awareness. So when we think about self-awareness, we kind of really think about it really in the realms of personal development and self-care. And I suppose I want to bring it in at an even deeper level from the point of self-awareness is really having a look at your life and trying to, and not even trying to, identifying patterns of behavior. So we are natural creatures of habit. That is the way the human mind craves things to be the same. It craves systems. It craves, things to be in our comfort zone. It craves. I can't think of the words. It's escaping my mind at the moment. But things that are familiarity. That's the word I was looking for. Familiarity. And actually, our brain rewards us with dopamine for familiarity. So our brain becomes a little bit addicted to that. And then that, of course, creates our habits. We are creatures of habit. So we might drive to work the same day. We might sit at the same side of the table in our house, and when we take a moment to look at the patterns of behavior, it has a huge clue into how we feel and how we behave in the world. And when we look at the world through that lens, it also gives us some information around the beliefs that we hold. So I suppose what I'm encouraging you to do for the next week is to look at your life through that lens, have a look at some of the beliefs or some of the patterns that you repeat in your life. And I suppose ask yourself some interesting questions, some reflective questions of like, what is it that's causing me to continue to behave in this way? And then you might say to yourself, what is stopping me from behaving in a different way? So what's stopping you driving to work a different way? What's stopping you, always being the one to say yes or never being the one to say no? What is causing me to repeat the patterns of being busy all the time, And it's not that we have to have the answer. So you don't have to say, oh, well, I know I'm being really busy because I'm running away from emotional stress. You just have to look at it and go, I notice that I am being busy. And I notice that being busy is stopping me feeling loneliness or anxiety or whatever it might be. And it's in the looking that starts to change. So what I'm inviting you to do is to look at what is your patterns of behavior are the clue to how you're actually feeling. And if you can look at your patterns, then it should uncover some of the feelings that you're feeling. And it doesn't have to be sad, it doesn't have to be negative, it doesn't have to be something that needs to be fixed. Awareness is awareness on all levels. What is it that makes you happy? What is it that makes you laugh? What is it that makes you giddy? What does it make you feel embarrassed? Your patterns of behavior are going to throw all of that up you when you start to look at your patterns of behavior. So every Sunday the day that you go and visit, your auntie. Is every Tuesday the day that you only, you do your washing on Tuesday. Like, we all have the patterns that we create over and over again. So start to look at those patterns and start to see some of your behaviors. And as you invite yourself to look at yourself, you will see what you need to see. And you'll see what you're ready to see as well. So don't be tough on yourself and say, oh my God, I really should be looking deeper. I should be better at this. Just the invitation is to look. And just by looking in itself changes it. And that is where the power begins. And again, it's not about fixing it. It's about seeing it. And when you see it, then you have the power. You have the power to decide whether it's serving you, whether it's not serving you, whether you want to keep it, whether you want to move on from it, or whether you want to change it or not. But it's not looking so that you can change. It's just looking so that you can see. So I know that's probably a little bit deep and maybe mystical for some people, but I would say if any of that went over your head, the invitation is very simple from the point of view is to just look at your life, look at yourself, look at your patterns of behaviors, and just be curious. Refrain from judgment and refrain from a massive kind of pressure to move forward and to make changes. The invitation is just to look. And on that note, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully we'll keep the weather that we've been having so far. It's been lovely to have some summer here at last. And I will be back with Jen Talks as I am every Friday. And I look forward to seeing you all back here again soon. And I'll be informing you next week of the Wellbeing Network. I'll be keeping you up to date of what date that's on, what topic I'm going to be speaking about, and any other upcoming events. So in the meantime, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep looking.